Good morning, New Life Church. My name is Shawn, and my wife and I have the privilege and honor of serving our student and worship ministry at our BB campus. And I'm so excited to do this Devo with you today on the root of rejection in our lives. And this is something that we all experience at some level. I know certainly I have went through seasons of rejection as I left my old life behind and began to take up my cross and follow Jesus. And look, there were moments where I felt like I was in this strange middle world of not wanting to live my former lifestyle anymore and not connecting with my past anymore, but also not feeling fully accepted in the world of the church because I was so new and everything was so foreign to me. The language, the way people talked, the way people encouraged each other rather than tear down, which is what I was so familiar with. And I actually learned later on that I was accepted by the church. And these were just my thoughts and feelings I was going through internally because I was crucifying my flesh to the cross and taking up this new, fully devoted life with no playbook on how that looked. But in that season, I felt rejected and I felt on my own. And I don't want to minimize your rejection. I'm sure that is real. But maybe that's where you're at right now. Sure, different story, different circumstances, but still with this root of rejection that the enemy is trying to use to keep you from living in freedom with Jesus. And I want to tell you that you're not alone. Jesus actually experienced rejection far deeper than we could ever imagine. Isaiah 53:3 says that he was despised and rejected, a man of sorrows, acquainted with our deepest grief. So he's rejected by the very people that he came to the world to save and reconcile to the Father. He came to earth as one of us. He experienced the world in the same ways that we do. He dealt with the same emotions, the same struggles we face, even the rejection that you may be feeling right now, he's actually carried. And I think about how Peter, one of Jesus' closest friends and disciples, denied him 3 times right after he was arrested and on his way to being crucified. And I know that in my life, I've denied him and rejected him at some point. Jesus has certainly dealt with rejection. Yet he still pushed through to the will of the Father and says, I will carry this with me. All of their sin, all of their rejection, all of their sorrows, for they know not what they do. And he's beaten, he's mocked, he's scorned. He carries the cross and is then nailed to the cross and left there to die. And in that moment, you could actually say that he faced maybe the deepest form of rejection. He cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me? And in that moment, the Father could not accept him because of all the sin that had been laid upon him. When Jesus went to the cross, he became sin, and we know that God rejects sin. But here's what I love about this, though. Jesus does all of this so that he could deliver us from our rejection. He took all of that to the cross, nailed it to the cross, and buried it. And because of that, we can now be accepted through the blood of Jesus. We can be accepted by grace. And if you're experiencing rejection right now, I promise you, you are not alone. He's acquainted with it, and you no longer have to walk in that. He crucified that rejection to the cross, and he's calling out to you to just let it go and walk with him in a resurrection freedom. You are not rejected in the eyes of the Father and in the eyes of the kingdom. Thank you so much for letting me share with you, and I pray that you experience peace and comfort today in knowing that you are not alone and that there is a path towards freedom from rejection if we just submit and surrender to Jesus.